last week, we showed you how urban spaces could be transformed into farms. But despite being an agricultural nation, the Philippines still relies heavily on food imports. Can local innovation change this? Welcome to Sustainability, where we feature sustainability initiatives one story at a time. Tonight, we look at how large-scale tech-driven solutions are changing the game for local food production, promoting sustainability, and redefining the Filipino plate. And joining us is Jovy Hernandez, President and CEO of Metro Pacific Agro Ventures, the agricultural arm of Metro Pacific Investments Corporation. Welcome to the big story, Jovy.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, how many billions have you
Billions?
poured into? No, but that's true, right? Into all the agro ventures.
Yeah, well, I think first of all, Metro Pacific Agro Ventures is the newest baby of MVP. We're just about two and a half years old. The initial investment that we've done was for Carmen's Best. Right? We entered the dairy industry and we're trying to revolutionize that. And then quite recently, we opened the greenhouse business, which is probably going to cost us about 800 million. That's the budget for about a 7-hectare property. Our property in Bulacan is about 14 hectares usable space. Today, we have 3.5 hectares worth of greenhouses.
The one that you unveiled just the other
That's
day.
correct.
But you also acquired coconut desiccating
Yes, Axelum Resources Corporation is one of the largest coconut exporting companies in the Philippines. We now are part of that company. We own about 34.57%.
And the baker, what is it?
Franklin Baker.
Franklin Baker, there's
still in
some
the works?
discussions. They're still in the works, hindi pa.
Okay.
Hindi pa.
Pero talagang almost 15B siguro ang binubuhos ng Metro Pacific into agriculture.
Well, I think more than the number says, it's really MVP's direct intent to be involved in agriculture now. And I think when you take a look at the whole landscape of the Philippines, we are an agricultural nation. We used to be very, very strong in a lot of these industries. And I think it's high time for the private sector to get involved. And I think MPAV was established to exactly do just that.
Yeah.
I mean, talk
We're
about...
glad he is paving the way because I'm sure susunod na yung iba.
Correct.
Well, somebody has to start.
Well,
Yeah.
we exactly, and across the industries that we've invested in, take a look at, for example, the dairy industry. So we launched Carmen's Best. We're very pleased that when we invested, now it's 3x the revenue. Our distribution has grown 6 times. A lot more people know of Carmen's Best. But Carmen's Best is the only locally produced ice cream that's 100% fresh milk. That's something that we should be proud of. In fact, in other countries, if your ice cream does not have milk, it's not allowed to be called ice cream.
Yes.
It's supposed to be called a frozen dessert,
Totoo
right?
naman.
Oh, but the thing is, when we started, the industry was so, nako, eto na sila, ang laki nila, papatayin nila kami. But in fact, what has happened is we are now front and center of the industry. We saw ourselves working with smallholder farmers who produce milk. We buy their milk and we process it to Carmen's Best. We now work with local corn farmers. So it became a whole ecosystem that is helping each other.
So you're helping even small farmers.
Correct.
This is my question about the big greenhouse facility that you have. Will you're now competing with local farmers who are not as, who don't have the technology that you have. How will this affect them?
Okay, so first of all, I think we have to categorically state that we're not competing
You're not
with the local farmers.
You're
When we looked at the demand for vegetables in Metro Manila, the amount of vegetables that we will be producing in the greenhouse will not even impact 2%. It's that small. So in fact, it's actually complementary. What is important for us, however, is if we prove to the local community that greenhouse is the right way to go.
Yes.
I think there is a chance for us to help the local farmers learn about this technology.
They say farmers are the most difficult to convince in adapting to new things.
Correct.
Is that
Correct,
resistant to
correct.
change?
Yeah.
Pati ako, matigas ang ulo ko dati. No, but I think if we are able to prove to them. So look, I'll give you a simple example na lang, Ses. No? Our greenhouse today is 3,400 square meters only. For
Yung buong area
no,
na yun ng lahat?
just for the lettuce.
Okay.
Just for the lettuce. So we produce 5 types of lettuces today in a 3,400 square meter greenhouse facility. Now think about this. We will produce 60,000 lettuce heads every single month, all year round. Dire-diretso, walang tigil yun. So it's like a food factory.
Diba?
Exactly.
Walang matter kung umuulan,
Yeah.
bumabagyo.
You can predict, you can actually say this is the production.
It's climate controlled, and
resistant, yeah.
says you saw it.
Yeah.
The rows of vegetables are like small
They were
children
perfect.
to us.
She showed us the photos. And they were so
And I
perfect.
ate it was so crunchy. Yeah, it's really good.
But
really
you will
good.
see the consistency. They're like our children to us. We give them the nutrients that is equal nutrients each plant. So they look like soldiers. They're very consistent in terms of quality. Now, if you compare that to traditional agriculture, magbubungkal ako ng lupa, magtatanim ako, mag-harvest, magpapahinga. So 2 cycles a year, or maybe at most, if it's irrigated, 3 cycles a year. This one is 12 cycles every single month. So here's a theory. If a farmer has 1 hectare, can I microfinance
You can.
him?
You will?
That's part of the purpose. So the Bulacan estate, the Bulacan greenhouse facility is envisioned to be a nucleus estate, meaning the farmers around it,
Okay.
hali kayo, tuturuan namin kayo, can we use half of your land? We will microfinance you and produce your greenhouse, follow our protocols and follow our processes. If you're able to produce the good quality, kami na rin ang bibili ng gulay nyo.
So that's really great for the
Pati
mga
logistics
agrarian.
ng
Then we
delivery
will
and
brand
everything.
it, we will bring it to the market, etc.
So for agrarian reform beneficiaries that they have like
Yeah.
small plots of land, this is like the perfect kind of setup.
Correct.
Parang showcase lang muna to.
Parang siya yung university.
And you're correct, Cess, if you were saying that the Filipino farmers is sometimes the most stubborn, if we can prove to them that this is 12 times more productive, everyone should follow, diba? And now the key for us, the dream at least, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to do that. We're working with some of the banks also to try to see how we can finance, is to build smaller greenhouses. Incidentally, while we have our mega facility in Bulacan and we're trying to do that for the farmers, our intent is to establish smaller greenhouses around the country. Kasi the Bulacan facility is intended for Metro Manila. So we got to take a look at, I mean, Boracay, for example, as an island, imports vegetables from Metro Manila.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes,
can we put a greenhouse maybe in Katiklan, not Boracay, mahal ang lupa sa Boracay.
Sa
Maybe in
likod.
Katiklan,
Sa
produce.
rooftop ng resort or somewhere.
So we're looking at that. We're
Okay.
looking at Cebu. How about Bohol? How about Puerto Galera?
But can we talk about the technology? Because
Sige, sure.
Because
I mean, yeah.
I read the articles that came out after the launch, and Cess was telling us about it. You showed us some pictures. But I also read that you're actually using less inputs.
Correct.
Because of technology, of course.
Yes.
That yun yung lagi natin pinag-uusapan na problema with our agriculture, and
Right.
then we do not use enough technology. But this is really accessible and like foolproof.
So I'll tell you this. During the hydroponics, everybody knows hydroponics. It's not new. In fact, everybody was doing it during the pandemic.
Correct.
Diba, nasa bahay lang, nag-hydroponics sila. The only problem was nobody was doing it at scale. Right? If it's a small operations, it's going to be very hard for you to make money. So there has to be economies of scale. Now, in terms of technology, it is a proven technology. And I will not say I'm an expert. That's why we partnered also with an Israeli partner of ours, LR
Are they
Group.
50-50 with you?
They're,
How
we're
is the
60-40, so
60-40.
60% MPAV
nga
and
pala, hindi
40%.
pwede.
Foreign ownership
Yes.
rules.
Owner.
Yes. And incidentally, they're also our partners from the dairy farm. And when I went to Papua New Guinea to check out their dairy farm, which was very impressive, I learned that they also have a greenhouse business. So that's when I looked. And being an agriculture person myself, I'm a graduate of agricultural economics from UP Los Baños. I mean, at least I know the foundations of how these things work. And it's really just the productivity. Now, in terms of resources, we say we use 90% less water. Why is that?
Because usually that's a hydroponic by the word itself.
It's water.
The scary part is, how much water will I use and how much ilaw, because you need the lights.
Yun, okay. So there are 2 types of greenhouses. One is horizontal, the other one is vertical. The ones you see in the developed world usually are vertical farms, and they use artificial lighting. They use container vans, all of these things. We said that's not going to work for the Philippines. our electricity costs are high.
Yeah.
We have lots of land. The sun is free.
Yeah.
So why do we need to use electricity? So we decided to use horizontal, the horizontal
Beautiful
model.
looking.
Correct.
Meaning it's still sunlight that.
Yes, yes.
Flat lang siya,
So,
hindi yung pataas.
If it's too hot, we have an automated metal mesh that comes out. It's retractable to protect the plants from too much radiation. In terms of water, we use recycled water. So meaning we get the water from the deep well, we treat that. It passes through the plants, but it is a closed system, meaning we reuse it.
They
Babalik
remove
siya.
some of the minerals that are
Yes.
not necessary and put in the minerals
That
na
are
kailangan
necessary.
Correct.
from the deep well.
Correct.
At first I was thinking, parang, saan ba galing yan? Synthetic, ganun? Parang actually, it's like us drinking supplements.
water,
Or
yeah.
vitamins,
Vitamins.
diba?
Yung
Mag-eat
magnesium,
well,
kaya
yung
mga
ganon.
minerals.
Right.
Yeah.
Ganon din yung ginagawa nila.
Correct. I mean, even for traditional agriculture, you use fertilizers, potassium nitrate,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
use
Yeah.
nitrogen,
Right.
but we don't want the pesticides. Diba? So if it's protected agriculture in greenhouses and we keep away the pests, there's no soil, so there's no pathogens. Then it's a cleaner environment for the plants, and it's a cleaner environment that we will consume
You
later
know,
on.
Joey, kami ni Sean, mahilig kami sa Pinoy na gulay. Okra,
Nako.
ganyan, talong.
Saluyot,
Parang wala,
kung
yun lang.
Para kung narinig si MVP, sabi niya, I understand you're going premium vegetables,
Yeah.
pero wag niyo kalimutan yung pinakbet.
Oh.
Yes,
So,
exactly. Yung bahay
paano?
kubo, yung bahay
So
kubo.
that's something that we're developing. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would it be much different in terms of like inputs, technology,
Uh,
amount of water?
yeah, we usually have agronomists who really know the science of what the nutrients are required for
May
each and
okra ba
every
sa
plant.
Israel? Baka hindi nila.
But I'm sure we will be producing okra siguro na ganun kalalaki.
Wow, ang sarap nun. That's a dream for us.
I
Imagine
don't know,
ganun.
matigas yun.
Hindi, masarap yung maliliit lagi.
Yeah.
Oh, Jovy, I wanted to ask about your belief of that fresh is best.
Right.
Tell us more about that and how does that shape your approach to food production?
Good. So we started with Carmen's Best now. So the center of gravity of our business is really fresh milk. And it was a complete surprise when we invested in this company that only 1% of the dairy consumption of the Philippines comes from local sources. Everything was imported, 99%. We said something's wrong. We had to do something. What's surprising was the 99% that we import, 70% of that are powder-based milk products. So if you ask me if I want my children to eat something, I want them to eat fresh, not powder. So that's the reason why we're pushing Carmen's Best, and not only ice cream, we're now producing liquid milk. We have a liquid milk line, we have fresh milk, non-fat milk, chocolate milk, we have salted
It's in the
caramel milk.
grocery. Saan mapibili yan?
In the groceries, it's already available.
Okay.
Under
Yeah.
the Carmen's Best brand
Under the
now.
Carmen's Best brand,
So all
yes.
the branding, because I understand you're fully integrated. So even the branding and the distribution, everything is really under Metro Pacific Agro Ventures, right?
Correct. So the dairy business, the division is by 2027, we should be producing more than 10 million liters annually. And
That's how many percent pa lang of the consumption?
Ay,
Maliit
sabi ko nga kay NDA administrator, sabi mo, nag-improve na tayo, hindi na 1%, 2% na.
So another person.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of science also behind that. On the milk side kasi, the Philippine average production of a cow is about 8 to 10
payat ang
liters.
mga ano natin.
Mainit kasi.
Actually, nagulat nga ako, the Israeli said they don't want the cows to be fat. Para palang babae pag buntis, dapat fit ka.
Okay.
So there's a certain body structure that they follow for the cow to milk as much as possible. But think of this, ang Philippine average 8 to 10 liters per cow per day. The global average is 40. Ang layo natin eh.
40?
40.
Wow.
And you still maintain the mga, I went to visit the farm before the acquisition. And talagang may malalaking speaker, may classical music, and their milking pans, you still,
We tried Hawaiian music, it doesn't work.
what do they like?
Dapat classical,
it's-
relaxing.
well, the concept really is more as long as you give them the right comfort, so they're not stressed. Sabi
Basta
nila,
happy
happy
sila.
cows equals more milk. But there's also a scientific way of approaching it. One is the nutrition that we give the cows. In the Philippines kasi, go ahead, eat all the grass that you want. Diba? Ganun, di palabasin natin, mag-grazing sila. That's fine from a sustenance perspective, but it doesn't give them the right protein, the right fat content, and energy for them to produce more milk. So we changed the whole nutrition of the cow. That's one. The other one is genetics. very complicated, di ba?
Yeah,
Akala
very
mo,
technical.
So it's
Okay.
very technical, but there's a lot of things going on there, and we're hoping that by the fourth quarter of this year, we will be producing about 30 liters per cow per day. That's times 3 kagad.
Okay.
And that's going to be
Just
good for us.
10 liters short of the world.
Yeah,
average.
we're still targeting to develop the super cow of the Philippines.
That would be a
Jovi,
super hybrid.
We wish we could have more time
you.
discussing agriculture with you, but we salute what you're doing because this
Salamat.
is something government actually should be doing.
I agree.
I
Hint,
think,
hint.
maybe I think as a last point, what's guiding us is what we call the ideal Filipino plate.
Okay.
That's what's guiding us to answer your question on what's next. Kasi ang Filipino plate is 3/4 white rice, adobo, Coca-Cola, tsaka potato chips. Right?
Yung gulay, katiting lang.
Exactly.
Minsan
A
wala
topping
pa.
lang.
In fact, per capita consumption of vegetables, we're the lowest.
Yes, we're the
So
lowest
if you
in
take a look
Asia.
at the plate, meron na tayong gatas, meron tayong dessert na ice cream na fresh milk, meron na tayong vegetables. What's next? We want to
Kanin.
take a look at protein. Well, rice is always there.
Yeah.
We're
Help the
studying
rice
it.
farmers.
I know.
Are there plans
mahirap
for
eh.
that?
We're studying it. Specifically, MVP is very interested to take a look at rice. So how can we increase production? So, but maybe I can say if we are going to do it.
Protein
we're
poultry,
studying.
maybe, piggeries, I don't know.
Yeah, or eggs, fish. I'm particularly interested in aquaculture.
Mega just
Mega
left.
just lang.
Yes, but aquaculture this time.
I think he hurried, he's cut away because you might.
No.
Aquaculture where it's circular in a closed system
Yes,
as well.
exactly. So recirculating aquaculture systems is the way to go for the future. And I think we haven't seen it in the Philippines, and we think it's high time for us because we know that the Filipino can.
Yes.
The
Great.
possibilities are
Thank
endless.
you so much, and this is really
Thank you.
ensuring our food security as a nation. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
your
much for
time,
having
Jovy. That was Jovy Hernandez, President and CEO of Metro Pacific Agro Ventures.